Here.
Claudia Gazal.
Here.
Tina Oberlin.
Present.
Mark Sepiti.
Here.
Nate Albert.
Here.
And Joe Kubal.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, you have before you the minutes from the work session held on January 11th, 2024. Motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderwoman Gazal, seconded by Alderman Albert for the approval of the minutes of the work session held on January 11, 2024. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
You have before you the minutes of the city council meeting held on January 15th, 2024. Motion would be in order.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Alderman Boucher, seconded by Alderman Jefferson for the approval of the minutes of the January 15, 2024 Crest Hill City Council meeting. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And lastly, you have before you the minutes of the work session held on January 29th, 2024. Motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderwoman Gazal, seconded by Alderman Albert for the approval of the minutes of the work session of January 29th, 2024. Questions or comments? Roll call.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
I was not here, but I did listen to them on an audio recording. Thank you very much, city clerk and city attorney. So I did hear the entire thing, so I will say yes.
Thank you. Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, we move along to our agenda items. First is our city attorney, Mike Stiff. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have one agenda item before you. In your packets, there is a resolution approving a settlement agreement and general release of all claims by and between Jasmine Coleman individually and as independent administrator of the estate of Matthew Parks, deceased, and as mother and next friend of her minor children. The resolution is in your packet. I previously sent you the draft settlement agreement. I'm seeking approval of the resolution tonight.
Motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderperson Oberlin, seconded by Alderman Jefferson, for a resolution approving a settlement agreement and general release of all claims by and between Jasmine Coleman individually and as an independent administrator of the estate of Matthew Parks, deceased, and as mother and next friend of her minor children. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution 1200.
I have no other agenda items, but I'm happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Any questions of our city attorney? Okay, thanks, Mike. Moving on to our Public Works Department, our Director of Public Works, Blaine Klein. Good evening, Blaine.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have one item for you tonight. Seeking to approve a resolution approving an agreement for professional services for WIFIA loan financial planning support by and between the City of Crest Hill, Will County, Illinois, and Burns and McDonald.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Gazal, seconded by Alderman Jefferson, for a resolution approving an agreement for professional services for WIFIA loan financial planning support by and between the City of Crest Hill, Will County, Illinois, and Burns and McDonald. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution 1201.
That's all I have tonight. I would just like to take a moment to thank everybody on the council, the mayor, city clerk, treasurer for my few years here. I greatly appreciate it. I can't speak highly enough of the support that I was given, specifically over the last 8 to 9 months, but also the last few years. So I won't forget that. I greatly appreciate it, and I wish everybody out there nothing but the best moving forward. So thank you.
Blaine, I want to say out loud what I said to you privately. You were just wonderfully, remarkably, you did a great job. You were just, it saddens me so much to see you go. I wish you nothing but the best in your personal and your business life, and know that we'll always be friends.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Blaine, you know how I feel. And you're one of the most, not only loyal, you have showed how you don't like to gossip, how you're so dedicated to your work. Unfortunately, I don't know if you ever would replace somebody like you, that was so loyal to the city, but I know how you feel. In your letter, you stated a couple comments that hit me, and you've said them so well, and that tells me what kind of person you are. You know, there's no leadership. You're right. There's no leadership in the city. I feel like this is like a revolving door. You know, we can't keep up staff here, and I wish the staff will stay in their lane. Well, I keep saying this phrase. You just wanted to do your work, and it seems like people that have gone, they don't want to leave the city. They keep contacting here. They keep getting information. They keep making your life so complicated. I don't blame you for leaving. I don't blame you for choosing, you know, a peaceful life. And it's a big loss for us, but I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Well, Blaine, I want to wish you nothing but the best, and just tell you that it's been a real pleasure working with you. You always stepped up to the plate, always willing to take on more. Maybe sometimes things that weren't technically in your job description, but you took on extra duties during some pretty difficult times that we've had here, and that just shows me, and I think shows everyone what the type of person you are. And we are going to sorely miss you, but I wish you nothing but the best in the future.
Thank you, appreciate that.
That doubles for me as well, Blaine. You know, what you brought to that position, we can always put another person in the seat, but we can't replace what you brought. You know, very upstanding and outstanding character, something you don't find nowadays, and I really appreciate it. Good luck to you in your next endeavor, and hey, you'll be thoroughly missed.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I want to thank you for your time here, all that you've done, all the efforts you put forth. It showed in your work ethic and that, so thanks again, and good luck in your future.
Thank you.
Well, gonna miss you. Didn't even get to know you that much, I'm gonna miss you. And good luck on your new adventure.
Thank you.
Blaine, you've been a tremendous asset to the city. I've told you that privately, and really disappointed that you are leaving, but appreciate your leadership, not only with the Public Works Department, but you know, your leadership with the Winterfest and other things you've been involved with. So I may call on you for some advice on some stuff like that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your friendship as well.
Best of luck, Blaine.
Thanks, Joe, appreciate it.
Anybody else? Well, Blaine, I want to certainly thank you for your commitment and your dedication to the city of Crest Hill while you were here. I want to thank you for your friendship also. It'd be sad to see you go, but I want to wish you well, and I want to wish your family and your children, your wife, best of luck going forward. And I'm sure our paths will cross somewhere along the line in the future. But I just want to say thank you for everything that you brought to the city of Crest Hill. It's really appreciated. You will be sorely missed, but our friendship will never waver. So
Thank you.
thank you. Moving on to our city engineer, Ron Wiedemann. Good evening, Ron.
I may have nothing on the agenda, but I can take any questions that council might have.
Any questions of city engineer?
Ron, one question for you. Gaylord, north of Division, like a lot of roads in our city, have really taken a hit here this winter. What, is it on the docket here this year to have some work done on that little stretch of road?
Currently, the only thing that I have budgeted in the 2025 budget is to install redo the pavement markings from Division, well, from our section, Division North all the way to Renwick. Kind of supplement the stuff that was done last year with the patching that was done. That's really it right now. South of Theodore, we're also gonna do pavement markings down that way too. So that's really all that I currently have in the 2025 budget.
Okay. When do you think that'll be done?
Right now, we're targeting probably late fall, early summer. I'm sorry, late spring, early summer, so somewhere in that time frame.
Thank you.
Any update on gas and wash division in and out yet?
In regards to the temporary entrance on Division,
Yes.
actually, today, everything was approved for them to get their permit. It's in building department's hands to just process it. We are waiting for a final set of plans that encompasses everything that I've approved from the developer. And that should be it. I know he's got the road in, he's gotta put temporary lighting in, he's still got some signing he needs to do, along with getting the plat of easement for that driveway executed before we can open that up fully to the public. And then in the spring, there'll be a caveat in there to pave it. So it will be paved once the weather breaks. And I don't wanna speak for Don, but I think we're gonna have a completion date, or the permit, the entrance will only be good to the end of the year. So we want them to work on the final resolution of what they're going to do there.
Thanks, Ron.
Any updates on Canton Farm going east? There's a lot of potholes, like a lot.
Caton Farm going east?
From City Hall right here into,
Well, I will have to look at it. That might be something Public Works at this year. We did spend a lot of money 2 years ago patching that section to kind of get it along until we got the water commission will be coming down and tearing the thing up. So I'll have to work with the next Public Works director about maybe trying to get out there to do some patching.
yeah, no, it does need some patching because there's a lot
Okay.
of potholes.
I'll make
Thank
note. I'll make note.
Public Works was out there last week though, were they not?
Yeah, we
I
potholed
don't-
last week,
Okay.
but it's still, there's spots that are beyond
Yeah.
patch, just potholing. There's some patches that probably need to happen.
Is it mainly east of Oakland or west of Oakland? I haven't gone that way in a while.
It's east
So-
of the back entrance here.
East of here, but
East of,
west of
so the section between here and Oakland.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Ron. Moving on to community development, our interim community development director, Ron Metzger.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. We have on the agenda tonight the approval of the permit fee reduction for 1269 Caton Farm Road, the building that John Russ is building, per the discussion that was had at the January 22nd workshop meeting. The fee would be reduced from $16,080 to $2,680 in acknowledgement for the fees that have already been paid on this project on a couple different occasions.
So moved.
Second.
We have motion by Alderman Verche, seconded by Alderman Dyke, for the approval of a reduction in the permit fee from $16,080 to $2,680 for the property located at 1269 Caton Farm Road. This was discussed last week at the work session. So, any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Darrell Jefferson,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes,
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
and John Rashay.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
I'm going to let Don take that one
Okay.
since he's been handling it.
The second one we have is approval of resolution agreement for the police department Sally Port door safety devices between the city Crest Hill and Industrial Door Company in the amount of $3,350 as discussed on the work session on January 29th.
So moved as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderperson Overland, seconded by Alderman Albert, for the approval of a resolution approving an agreement for Police Department Sally Port Doors Safety Devices by and between the City of Crest Hill, Will County, Illinois, and Industrial Door Company in the amount of $3,350. Questions or comments?
I do have a comment since I wasn't here and I didn't get to discuss it that night. I did listen to everything and I want to thank you for all your work on this, Don. I appreciate it. I know you weren't here when this originally transpired. But once again, it's another issue that was not done correctly, that we're getting bills after the fact for, and it's just shameful. I know you had nothing to do with that, but here we go again, down the rabbit hole. But thank you for all your help with it. I mean, this is a safety issue. We need to do it.
Roll call, please.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
And Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution 1202.
Oh, yeah.
That's all we have.
Anything else? Okay, any questions of Community Development or Building Commissioner?
Yeah, Ron,
Nice to see you on the
could you give
meetings,
us an
Don.
Thanks.
Hopefully we'll see you more often.
Ron, could you give us an update on the developer that was looking at that parcel on Renwick by Boreal for a storage facility? Where's that at?
It's my understanding that after receiving the comments, having additional discussions about the comments they received from the city council at the work session meeting, the developer that was interested in purchasing that project, that property, and the original approval decided not to move forward with the project, and we don't know exactly why, but I don't think they were prepared to meet the expectations that they heard conveyed to them at that meeting.
I can answer that question. The developer did contact me because we're negotiating with some of the design. And by the time they figured out to do everything that the residents, they wanted and what we were looking for prior to the previous storage area, it was out of their budget at this time.
Ron, do we have any information regarding the vacant parcels of land just adjacent to the new gas and wash? I know at one time we were talking about residential properties over there. Is there any movement on that, or?
Yeah, there's the properties that are located along Weber Road, essentially adjacent to the intersection of Weber Road and Randis Drive, the signalized intersection there that are zoned commercial, planned for commercial. I drive by that when I come to Crest Hill and leave Crest Hill, and I always found it kind of funny that there was, until just recently, no real estate marketing signage for the property, and reached out to the property owner earlier last month and expressed some concern over that. Why aren't they marketing the property now that all those improvements are in place? They did indicate they were actively marketing it, which in turn, after investigation, somebody dropped the ball on their side and they hadn't yet listed those properties. You'll see a sign on the property now. They are actively marketing. It's listed on LoopNet. I don't know, maybe a month ago, I did receive a call from a broker that works for Starbucks and was expressing some interest in one of those vacant lots near the intersection. I connected him with, that's one of the reasons why I end up talking with the owner of the property, because I couldn't find a listing for that site. I connected him with the owner of the property. Haven't heard any follow-up on that, whether or not there's any movement on them coming together on a project there. Behind that, there's about 63 acres of vacant land that is, I think the city's plan would like to see some type of residential use on that. It's my understanding that the developer that's interested in that property had attended a work session at least once or twice with the city council and received input from the city council on the type of residential project that the city would be interested in seeing there. We continue to have conversations with that home builder about that project. They are interested in moving forward with the project, but financially they will be looking for some type of city economic development / TIF assistance if they were to move forward with the project. Right now, the conceptual scope of the project includes a apartment building, single-family rental townhouses, and then a series of owner-occupied small lot, single-family homes, all of which would be age-restricted, so they would all be geared towards people that don't have any children. Again, we've had a number of conversations with the developer. Right now, because it's his position that they would need some kind of economic development assistance from the city, we've been working with them to get some details on the justification for any type of city economic development assistance, and then exactly what type of revenues that project would generate if it was to be built. So they did submit some pretty detailed information, and we've had a number of reviews of that information, and they're in the process of revising that, trying to get to a point where we would, again, meet with the city council's economic development representatives, Mayor Solomon, Alderman Gazelle, to review that information in more detail and see if this is something that would be worth bringing forward to the city council to have a discussion at a work session meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ron. Thanks, Don. Moving on to our police department, our police chief, Ed Clark. Good evening, Ed.
Evening, Mayor and Council. I do not have any agenda items this evening. However, I would entertain any questions.
Any questions of the police department?
Yeah, Chief, we had that accident over the weekend there on Nicholson and Ludwig,
Okay?
and I don't know all the particulars of it, just know the car flipped in a yard and stuff like that, but some of the residents in that area are concerned about, how fast people might be going on Ludwig, because, there's not a stop sign at each street, you have a stop sign, and then there's, a next street doesn't have one, it's only a two-way, and then the following one's a four-way. So they're concerned about the speed on that street, so if you could maybe have an officer on that road to kind of keep an eye.
Absolutely.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Moving on to the mayor's report. We have several items on the agenda tonight. The first one being approval of an ordinance creating a Class Q BYOB permit for retail tobacco stores within the city of Crest Hill. You have the information in your packet. There was a lot of time invested by our attorney on this topic. There was also work sessions on this topic. I feel that we have everything in order at this time. And I fully support to create a new classification of permit, specifically a bring your own bottle BYOB permit, which may be issued only to retail tobacco stores as defined by the Smoke-Free Illinois Act. There are a lot of requirements that are within this ordinance, and that the total number of BYOB permits issued to retail tobacco stores shall be limited to one. So I would ask for a motion for its approval.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Jefferson, seconded by Alderman Albert, for an approval of an ordinance creating a Class Q BYOB permit for retail tobacco stores within the city of Crest Hill. Questions or comments in regards to the motion?
Just one
Yeah.
clarification. I have asked at the work session about how many bottles of alcohol they were allowed to bring in, and there wasn't, it was determined to come back with it. And I read the whole thing a few times. Did I miss something here?
No, I thought that, based on what was said, that they are going to self-govern. I mean, if it's a group of 10 people and they all bring a bottle of wine in, it's up to them to make sure that they police it. I mean, if we get into the weeds and start telling them, so many bottles per so many people, then I think that the ordinance becomes a little bit clunky. So that's why that's not there. If you want to limit the amount that either one person or two people can bring in, we can easily amend that, but I think it just becomes clunky. I mean, the burden is on them to make sure that they don't, run afoul either over-serving or allowing people to, bring too much in. And the risk is on them. But again, if you think that we have to figure out a way to limit, then
No,
we have
it's
to sit down.
just like we tell restaurants, to monitor that, and this one is not monitored, just because I said, as I stated in the work session, if one person walks in or a couple or two friends, they're walking in, how many bottles they can drink, you know? And that question's not answered, so.
Well, the way this ordinance
But
is
if the
phrased,
council feels that, you know, they can monitor it,
the way this ordinance is phrased, the burden is on them, because if they, you know, it requires them not to let people leave with it, it requires them to have lockers for people to store it, it requires them to, if they have a problem, to call the police, it requires them that if they have an inordinate amount of calls, that they are gonna have to be Bassett trained. I mean, all of those safeguards are built in. If you want to actually start figuring out how many, then we've got to, how many bottles can be brought in by so many people, then we would have to rework the ordinance and figure out what the council's desire is to limit, because the question comes up, well, what if it's, if I'm coming in by myself and I've got an armload of bottles, then that would be something that obviously you would not want to allow. But if it's 3 couples and each one brings in 2 bottles and they're planning on leaving something there, the burden is on them, because obviously the city won't be there to make sure that they're not being overserved or that they're not bringing in the appropriate amount of stuff. The age restrictions are followed. It's really on them, but I'm happy to rework
No,
the
like,
council's thought.
this is something new, that this is the first time that we're doing something like this, so I'm just covering all the angles, nothing personal, nothing, it just, as my job, I need to ask all the questions and cover all the corners, so. That's all what he needs to hear.
I just had one concern or question or need maybe some clarification on, and is the lockers, and you're gonna have so many lockers, and let's just say, like, one night you have someone who, like, say 20 people come in, they leave 20 bottles. And what happens if a night happens where I were to come in with a bottle and all your lockers are full? And what would happen then?
That's a possibility, but again, we do have the space to build cabinets, and we do have cabinets already, lockers there already. So that's something that we will police, and if we see that that won't just happen one time, actually gradually go to that, we know to get in front of that, to be able to have more lockers than what we have now. So definitely that's something that we will take into consideration.
Because you know what I'm saying, someone could come, be there one night, and they might not come back for a week, and, you know, their bottles there, their names on it and stuff like that on that locker. But that's what I'm saying, if the lockers are all full and I come with a bottle, where's my bottle go?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we will put expiration on how long they can have it there, and make sure that we are destroying it and getting rid of it at a certain time. So it wouldn't be there with an unlimited time. We will put a limit on how long you can keep it there, so it will not accumulate, that you will not have places to put it. So that's an excellent question.
Okay,
But
thank you.
something that we already
Yep,
considered.
thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Over.
Yes.
Motion carries. Ordinance 1973.
Now you can smile.
Okay, so, comment from the mayor to the city council and to Mr. and Mrs. White. This was the creation of the license. This does not entitle you, this is not your liquor license. The city council. Mr. White has been fingerprinted, he has gone through the background check, the fingerprint check, the results are not in yet. When those results do come into the police department, myself and my 2 deputy liquor commissioners will sit down with Don and we'll go through the process, just like we go through the process with any other new liquor license holder. After all that is said and done, Mr. White will be brought back to the city council for a vote for the approval or the disapproval of the one liquor license in the city of Crest Hill. Permit, that's right.
Permit.
Not a liquor license, it is a permit. It is a BYOB permit for a retail tobacco store. Okay?
Mayor,
So this was the first step of the process, was to create the permit. Yes.
I just want to comment and echo what I said at the work session. I appreciate all the work involved with the Whites, Mike, Mayor's office, and whoever else was involved to to come up with this license. It's
Permit.
permit, sorry, permit. You know, it's thinking outside the box, and we're adapting and being pro-business with a decision like this. So appreciate all the hard work on that.
Okay. Next on the agenda.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night. A resolution approving a consulting agreement with Jeffrey C. Pratt to provide cable television, broadcast, and audio-visual services to the city of Crest Hill, Will County, Illinois. You do have a copy of the consulting agreement in your packet, which Mr. Pratt has agreed to. City council remembers he was brought to a work session 3 weeks ago. And all the questions were answered. I will say that he's been with us now since, I believe it was December 15th, and he's been supplying the audio-visual for the citizens of the city of Crest Hill. So with that being said, I would ask for a motion for approval for the consulting agreement between the city of Crest Hill and Mr. Pratt.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Albert, seconded by Alderwoman Gazal, for a resolution approving a consulting agreement with Jeffrey C. Pratt to provide cable television, broadcasting, and audio-visual services to the city of Crest Hill, Will County, Illinois. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin. Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution 1203.
Okay, congratulations to Mr. Pratt, and thank you for your services so far. Next on the agenda, with the resignation of Mr. Blaine Klein, which his last day is going to be February 9th. I would like to make the appointment of Mr. Michael Ulitz as the part-time interim Public Works Director for the city of Crest Hill. Motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Albert, seconded by Alderman Dyke, for the appointment of Michael Ulitz as part-time interim Public Works Director for the city of Crest Hill. He was brought before council last week, I believe it was, or 2 weeks ago, for council questions.
No. He came for interview for.
That's right. We had.
That was
he
like a
for
month
the-
and a half ago.
You're right. He was for the interview for city administrator, and now we have him for Public Works Director. He comes with much experience with the city of Joliet for 30 years. I believe he will hit the ground running here. And I think that he will be a good individual to fill in as interim Public Works Director. Any other questions or comments?
No, is there a reason why he's not here?
Yeah, he was not able to be here tonight.
Okay, so when is the starting date again?
Well, we'll be doing that on the next,
Okay.
all right. Roll call, please, Chris.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, with that being said, I would ask for approval of a resolution approving the appointment of Michael Ulitz and approving an employment contract with Michael Ulitz for the position of part-time interim Public Works Director. Starting date of Tuesday, February 6th, 2024, contingent upon a background check and a medical check can be completed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Jefferson, seconded by Alderman Albert, for a resolution approving the appointment of Michael Ulitz and approving an employment contract with Michael Ulitz for the position of part-time interim Public Works Director for the city of Crest Hill. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution 1204.
Okay, thank you for that. The next one is for an appointment of Anton Tony L. Graff as the interim city administrator for the city of Crest Hill with a start date of February 12th, 2024. I would be asking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Jefferson, seconded by Alderman Verche for the appointment of Anton Tony Graff as the interim city administrator. Questions or comments?
I have a comment. I'm voting for this just because I think that's the right way to do it right now due to the position that the city is, so we can move the city forward. But I want to make it clear that the interview, it was a good interview. I think he's going to bring a lot to the city. But also I want to make a point that I'm voting because of the situation, not because it's your recommendation, Mayor, even though this is your position to appoint the city administrator, but it's with the council consent. So the majority of the council approve this position or not. And as you know, I'm doing this today just because it's an interim. I'm hoping for the following city administrator, the full-time city administrator, that you will take in consideration the majority of the council. So that means the majority rules. Since the vote was different in the work session and you refuse to go with the council decision, I just want to make it clear that this time I'm voting this way just because the position that we are. And I think it's time that this city and you, Mayor, that will start taking things a little bit more serious. Like I said it earlier, it seems like this is a revolving door and we can't keep staff in the city. It's time to start taking things serious and not do it your way only because it's hurting the city as a whole. And as they say, democracy is the rule of the people, for the people, and by the people. So if I need to describe again what the majority means, I will describe it again. But I just want to make this as a statement that for your next appointment, I'm hoping you consider to go with the majority, not what you want.
Anybody else?
I would just like to say that Claudia put everything so eloquently that all I can do is say, I agree wholeheartedly with everything she said. I feel the same way.
Roll call, please.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
Yes, I also agree with what Claudia said.
John Verche,
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes, but I want to echo the statements that have already been made. We're at a point where we have to move forward, but I am disappointed in the process that brought us to this point. This is a democracy, and majority should rule, but unfortunately in this case, the majority chose a different candidate, but we need to move forward. And I will support Mr. Graff in this position because it's what's in the best interest of the city. So I vote yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next, you have a resolution approving the appointment of Anton Tony Graff as interim city administrator and approving an employee leasing agreement by and between the City of Crest Hill and GovTemps USA LLC for Anton Graff services as city administrator. My comments are that Mr. Graff, in my mind, is the right choice for this position. At this time, he has a calming influence. He comes with a multitude of experience, and I think he'll be a good fit for the City of Crest Hill. So I would ask for a motion for the approval of the resolution.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Albert, seconded by Alderman Jefferson for a resolution approving the appointment of Anton Tony Graff as interim city administrator and approving an employee leasing agreement by and between the City of Crest Hill and GovTemps USA LLC for Anton Graff's services as interim city administrator. Questions or comments? Roll call, please, Chris.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Motion carries, resolution 1205.
Okay, and his first day will be February 12th of 2024. Last on the agenda item is a resolution designating and appointing representatives to the Grand Prairie Water Commission. This will be with the addition of the new employees. We need to update the representatives to the TOG group, which is the technical group, and the mayors and management group, which meets on a monthly cycle. Copy of the resolution is in draft, and I would ask for approval and a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it.
You make it, Scott?
Yes.
Motion by Alderman Dyke, seconded by Alderman Verche for a resolution designating and appointing representatives to the Grand Prairie Water Commission. Questions or comments?
I have a comment. You suggested at the work session, Mr. Stiff, that Ron should be number one on this list, not as a second, since Ron is a full-time employee, not a part-time. Those interims are just part-time and temporary. So I'm not sure what we have their name first, and we have fully dedicated employee staff that it's been part of those meetings.
That's why this has a draft watermark on it. I drafted it.
Can we make those changes to the
Well,
commissioner?
all I could say is they are both going to be on they're both on the list.
I understand.
I don't know if it makes a
I mean,
difference, but
for number
It does
two,
make a difference.
they're both interims,
They're both interim.
for
And
number
he's
two.
a full-
But you're talking about for
correct.
the technical advisory.
Right,
group.
and I did pass this along to Allison Swisher at the mayor's meeting that was last Thursday, and she seemed to be fine. I told her what the direction, because I believe that we did speak about this in executive session also.
And I also made the comment
There was no
that Ron, and I recall you said that's fine. He should be number one on this, and the interim, they should be as alternate representative. If they choose to go with him, that's fine, but he's been doing this.
Yeah, for right now, they're both going.
Again, I understand, I just stated that I understand that they're gonna be going, but his name should be first, because he is the full-time employee.
Council, your thoughts?
I agree.
So we're flipping City Engineer Ron Wiedemann as the representative to the TAC, which is the Technical Advisory Working Group, or the TOG, and then Mike Ulitz would be the alternate.
Correct.
To the motioner?
Yeah, I'll change
The
it.
second?
John?
Okay. Roll call?
Darrell Jefferson,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal,
Yes.
Tina Oberlin,
Yes.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert,
Abstain.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Motion carries, resolution 1206.
I will make those changes and take the draft watermark out off and get it to the clerk tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, that's all the agenda items for the mayor. Just a couple comments. I received an email from the Public Relations Department of Lockport Township High School late this afternoon with an announcement that they made that Miss Chelsea Osei, who is a Lockport Township High School senior, has been awarded the United States Senate Youth Program. One of the representatives and delegates. This United States Senate Youth Program was founded in 1962. There are only 2 representatives from each state of the union, and Ms. Osei, who is a Crest Hill resident, was one of the 2 chosen to represent the state of Illinois. So both of the individuals who have been chosen are going to be in Washington, D.C. between March 2nd and March 9th. They're going to be with Senator Durbin and Senator Duckworth They will have an opportunity to be on the Senate floor, to be a delegate, to be an assistant, to be in meetings, to meet the President Biden during the trip. So this is a very prestigious honor for all the individuals that are the winners of here. It also includes a $10,000 scholarship for the college of her choice going forward. So, with that being said, I believe that maybe when she comes back, you can reach out to her and have her here for a little acknowledgement. And since it is such a prestigious award, give her some accommodations for all of her hard work and everything else. She seems to be a fantastic young lady with a bright future. The other comment is in regards to, I'm sure everybody's well aware of the tobacco sting that our police department conducted over the weekend. I certainly want to thank Chief Clark, Deputy Chief Opiola, and the members of the Crest Hill Police Department, the members of the Will County Sheriff's Office, the members of the Illinois State Police who participated in the sting, which was Saturday night. We have 20 tobacco licensed stores in the city of Crest Hill. I received a tip for a couple of months ago in regards to one of our establishments that was selling to a 17-year-old, which in my mind is unacceptable. I think that we as a city have to be certainly cognizant and try to protect our young adults and their safety and their welfare. And I think we need to continue to be doing the stings for both tobacco and alcohol at all of our establishments. The good news is that out of the 20 tobacco licensed stores, which some of them are freestanding, some of them are grocery stores, some of them are packaged liquor stores, 13 of them were in compliance during the sting operation. However, 7 of them were not. And those 7 were issued 11 administrative citation tickets with a penalty and a fine of up to $750 to the employee. There'll also be some follow-up by myself with our attorney, Mr. Stiff, and my options in going forward with the business owners for any fines and or suspensions that can be given by the mayor's office also. So I want to congratulate those ones that were in compliance, and I'm a little shocked that there were so many that were not. So it must be a problem. So again, we will continue to be doing these things going forward to protect all of our young adults in both the tobacco and the alcohol world. So again, thanks to Chief Clark for his follow-up on getting everything started, and Deputy Chief Opiola with following up with the operation. And that's it for the mayor. I'll try to answer any questions that you may have.
Just to reiterate what you say, Mayor, I agree with you, and thank you for the police department. But this is another reason why we should put limits on tobacco stores. Seems like our city is filled with tobacco stores. It's kind of we're inviting our newer generation. This is okay to do. Something we should consider to put limits on it.
Okay, moving on to our city clerk's report. Christine Verche Hall.
Thank you. In your package, you have a request for the Autumn Ridge Association that would like to use the community room. The 4 dates that they are choosing is tomorrow, February 6th, May 7th, September 10th, and November 7th. Council, your decision.
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Gazal, seconded by Alderman Jefferson for the approval of Autumn Ridge Association to use the community room in 2024. Questions or comments?
It says only here like starts at 6 p.m. Do they have like an approximately time? Like when I used to reserve the room, they used to tell me like from 6 to 8, an example.
They didn't give us an ending time, it's just the start time.
Okay, so we're not putting like any time there.
Whenever they get done on it. Yeah, we'll have either Public Works or the Police Department here.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you, and we'll notify the proper departments. And that's all I have to report tonight.
Any questions of the city clerk? All right, thanks, Chris. Moving on to our city treasurer's report, our treasurer, Glenn Conklin. Good evening, Glenn.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I seek a motion for approval of the list of bills issued through February 6th, 2024 in the amount of $1,906,663.80.
So moved as presented.
Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Alderperson Overland, seconded by Alderman Jefferson for the approval of the list of bills. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Nate Albert,
Yes.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
John Rashay.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
And Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
Thank you all for that. Next is just a report requiring no motion or action of regular and overtime payroll from from January 1st, 2024 through the 14th of 2024 in the amount of $270,560.17. The next pay period being January 15th through the 28th of 2024. Our regular and overtime payroll total $243,272.21. Additionally, there was a quarterly compensation time buyback for the period of October 1st, 2023 through December 31st in 2023. That totaled $43,419.13. The next would be a discussion item regarding tacos before Vatos payment plan request for the Places for Eating tax. I just preface that with, we have, they paid for their license moving forward. However, the license itself is yet to be physically issued. There seems to be a desire for them to get caught up. To date, they're finally making steps towards being a part of the system and doing the reporting. They have registered with our, what is it?
With local gov.
Local gov. I was gonna say that backwards. And, so the council's decision, I know they've been remedial, but it seems like they are moving towards the right track. In terms of discussion, I'm gonna draw out a proposal for your consideration. Could be accepted wholesale, changed in any way, or rejected completely, but just for discussion. I think currently they're in arrears at about $1,200. My thoughts that if they were to keep in compliance, pay their taxes moving forward on time, and be squared away in 3 months' time, that perhaps we grant them the grace. Again, that they keep current and then work on the backlog and get that cleaned up in 3 months for your consideration and discussion.
I got a question for Lisa.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Lisa, how long have they actually been registered with the software though? 'Cause
They recently registered, probably within the last month, and I think their back taxes are from May to, I think they paid December, so they owe from May through November.
okay, so the moment that they sign into the software, it backdates to May or whenever they started?
So when a business registers, it registers, like if they recently opened during the year, the calendar year, they would put their date when they opened, and then they would owe taxes from that point forward. But the tax went into effect January 1st, so if they had been a longtime business owner, they would register and they would be paying taxes from January forward. So, I think they went in probably in January to register, and again, they paid December's. So they owe from May until November, and I think it was $1,379 for that period of time from May to November of what they owe.
I would emphasize.
Councilman Albert, in addition, I'm told by Don Seaman that there is also the $750 fine that was assessed at the January 17th administrative hearing for violating the Places for Eating tax ordinance.
Thank you for that reminder. I do want to say that Don and crew, being Chris, Lisa, local gov, am I saying that right? I always seem to get that dyslexic, but there've been repeated efforts, in person, via mail, in Spanish. There have been great proactive attempts by the city to make them aware. I think they're on the right page now. They were reluctant and I think neglectful in the past. In the event that they're looking at a couple grand now between the fine and the back taxes, maybe I suggest a six-month repayment, if that's your, or 3 months or not at all, but.
Can I say something?
Please.
So at last work session, I suggested to do a payment plan, not knowing all the fees, the issues that the situation had. And it was a quick reaction because we try to be pro-business and to help the people and the business because of the difficult time. But it was kind of disturbing when I was here in the meeting and heard all these, how many times, as you stated, you guys have reached out. And they came to the administrative hearing one time, they missed the second one. And so my idea was, just because it was the first time, this is the first time that the city is doing this, that maybe we should do a payment plan. But then after hearing all the issues that they have, it was kind of disturbing. And one of the residents that was here in the meeting was talking to me afterwards and made a very good point. If the residents, they're behind on the water bill, we will help them to do a payment plan. And that kind of hit home. I'm like, no, we don't. So I don't know where I stand at this point because it's difficult for us here to sit and be pro-business, but also you want to be pro-resident and support the resident. And this business has been given so many opportunities, but yet, what do we do right now? We're always going to look at the bad people no matter what decision we make. Are we going to open this can of worm of, helping one? Is it, we're going to do it to every business now? Are we alone? We're not a finance company. We're not alone. I'm caught in the middle. And this is the first time I will say it's kind of hard for me to make the decision because I really came to the work session thinking we need to help this business. But now it's confusing the way the whole situation, and it's not only about close to $1,400, an additional $750 on top of that. So how many months is it going to take for this to be paid? And I'm not sure if the business is here. Hi.
Brianna?
Yes.
So a couple of things to keep in back of mind on this is that we have the gaming places, and they don't square up on a monthly basis through the year. They square up at the end of the year, which is acceptable for us. There's also times in certain seasonal businesses where they don't have revenue for a period of months. There are times that people fall behind or miss one and catch back up. So we're fine with everything. In terms of a long view, if they're willing to put forth a payment plan that's amenable to you, we'll monitor it. From a pro-business aspect, I'd love to see us do what we can to help them become successful. From a collection standpoint, there were many, many opportunities given to comply that were disregarded, neglected, whatever you want to call it. But I don't object to a place for eating tax. I don't want to do that for any type of a payment plan, but I don't want to do that on a regular basis. So if you were to make a one-off, we'll accept that, we'll keep you posted on the progress. It's a very easy consumer-paid tax. It's a matter of getting on the system, being a part of that system, plugging it into the cash register, and moving forward. It's just marching. So in terms of the penalties, as opposed to them having it as a consumer tax, they have to pull that out of pocket because of that neglect. So there's an automatic fine built in that for not doing it. If they just add that on the back end of the meal, it pays for itself. It's only an inconvenience, so. You
So it'll
guys,
be one time only.
But how do you tell the second business that comes in asking for the same opportunity, and we say no? I think that, then you could say, well, why not? If it's good for one, why can't it be good for the next one? And I don't know if I want to go down that hole. It just opens up a whole can of worms. Like was said before, they had many opportunities. The city made many attempts, and they disregarded it. They ignored them, and it's not fair to the businesses that are complying. We're not a bank. We're not a financial institution to be loaning money, basically interest-free. So I don't like the precedent that this could start. I'm sympathetic toward the business. I want all businesses to do well. But with that comes some responsibility. When we have ordinances and rules that are in place, again, I think we should follow them. Because when you pick and choose who you make exceptions for, we've said this before, that's not fair in other situations to pick and choose when to enforce them. And I just think that this would be another example of that.
I just want to say I thank you for your opinion, and I respect that, and I understand it. There was only one thing that I did want to make mention of, in not necessarily correction, but it is not interest-free. There's a $750 fine for the non-compliance. I believe there's an interest component in any.
So there are late fees and there are interest, there are penalties that are built into the system. Those won't be waived, because when we first rolled out the program, we gave all businesses really till April 1st. So it was effective January. We said, if you're up and running by April, we will waive any back payments, any penalties and interest, if you are compliant by April 1st. And once those businesses didn't register and didn't comply, we didn't waive any of those late fees. Those are still on there. So I guess if you were to work something out, I'd need to understand from my standpoint who's gonna be tracking it. At what time period do they have to be paid up for the May through November, which they haven't paid for yet? So since I'm gonna be the one who's gonna be tracking it, I just, and not only that, so there's gonna be another administrative hearing in February. I think it's February, is it the 20th, Don? Yes, so since they didn't show up to the last administrative hearing, what would happen then at the next administrative hearing? Would they have to come and then talk that they got some sort of dispensation or approval or something from city council? I just don't, since this is all new to all of us, I just don't know how this works going forward. But then also, like you said, is it a precedent so that next year somebody has the same situation? It's a tough decision because it's the first time it's come up. So that's why Glenn and I are coming to council to ask for your guidance on how you'd like to proceed with this.
Well, next year we'll say no, because like I said, this was the first time that we've done this. So everyone is on track by then.
I'm just saying, if there's a new business who came in and sort of,
Or a new business.
a brand new business who is sort of in the same situation. But again, you guys are the ones who can make the decision on this, so.
I tend to agree with Alderman Sapiti. They had multiple opportunities to correct this, multiple opportunities to get it straightened out. When you don't go to administrative hearings, that tells me that you're just ignoring things. And I do think that we'll set a precedent and other people, and justifiably so, they'll say, well, why did you do it for them? Why don't you do it for us? This is not a tax they pay, this is a pass-through tax. They collect it on behalf of the city and pass it on to the city. The fact that they didn't do things the way they were supposed to do, that you can't blame the city for that. And you have to be responsible. You have a business, it's your obligation to make sure you're paying your taxes and you're doing everything right, just like residents have to pay their taxes. Residents don't, if you call the IRS and say, well, I didn't understand that I needed to do that every year, I don't think you're gonna get much pity there either. So I agree with Alderman Sapiti. I think that they need to make it good before they get a license, just like we've said before.
Can we hear from the business?
I was gonna let the council go first. Anybody else on the council make a comment?
I'd like to make a comment. Excuse me. I think we received a list of every business in the city of Crest Hill that was delinquent in this tax. And a lot of these businesses have been here for years, some decades, and they were delinquent. So I weigh that against the fact that this is a new startup business that's delinquent in the tax. And we basically had to threaten some of these established businesses to pay the tax. So I'm not so much holding it against them that they did not pay up front, because they weren't the only one that was delinquent. We had about 2 or 3 pages of delinquent businesses that knew that they had to pay this tax. So I'm not gonna single them out as like they're the only ones that did not pay. I think that, we have to try to be business friendly as best as we can. I mean, we're a landlocked town, and we just lost an entity on Renwick and Boreal because we overemphasize what we want. And we have to be amenable to establish these tax revenues for ourselves, not go under the table to establish them, but we have to be amenable to the entrepreneurs that's trying to come here. And what you said, Mr. Clerk, Treasurer, about the 3 months, that sounds something that I can agree with. But I think the hard line is they're gonna have to step up and make sure that these fees are paid, the $750 and those other fees make sure they're paid. I just look at our town, and we have a lot of vacant land, and we have a lot of empty buildings that need to be filled. And I'm trying to figure out how do we attract people, and one way to attract people is to try to be amenable, or we're not gonna let anyone come in here and take advantage of us, but we do have to yield a little bit to be amenable to attract people to come to Crest Hill. I yield.
Lisa, I'm reviewing your email from January 29th, where you list all of the delinquent places for eating tax. And there's 11 on the list. However, Tacos Before Vatos and just one other establishment has missed pretty much the filing for the entire year. The rest of the other 9 are just one-offs, missed a month, and maybe they're late or something like that, or the first part of the filing period, those types of things.
Well, there was one other establishment who had just opened up a new chain. And they were sort of in the same situation. They came in and they had a larger liability and didn't think that they were gonna be able to pay it. But then they did find a way to pay it, so they have been removed off of the list. But they were also ones who hadn't paid the whole year, but they did become current and they met their obligations. So I think there's only one other establishment who hasn't paid anything all year in addition to this one we're speaking of.
I mean, I kind of mentioned it last week at the work session, and I think I was just very disappointed that we talked about it for 20, 30 minutes last week, and there was no plan on how it was gonna get repaid, or you know, there just seemed to be a lot of, I didn't know, and we've heard repeatedly that they knew, from building department, from treasurer's office, finance department. I mean, so I'm having a very hard time even trying to consider this, because it's a slippery slope to go down. And I don't want to set a precedent by doing a payment plan. That's my thoughts on it.
Joe, John, or Scott?
It's like everyone's, mentioned and said, you wanna help, but then you worry about what kind of precedents you're setting, what kind of can of worms you're opening up. I mean, we have other businesses that, are behind or haven't paid, like my waffle. And I haven't heard anything about them, but I'm looking at the sheet that we were given of businesses where they're delinquent, how they haven't paid. My waffle's one that hasn't complied either. Are they still opening, running their business?
So I had asked Mike Stiff about that before, about what happens if a business does not receive a business license, what happens? I didn't get an answer on that.
As always, the next step is court intervention. You need to ask a judge to shut them down. Now, you can cite them first for not having a business license, run it through the administrative hearing, let it go to judgment. There's 35 days after that, and they can appeal it to the circuit court. Once that 35 days is up, you can take that judgment into court, seek to have it enforced, you can seek an injunction that says that they need to stop violating the ordinance, either come into compliance or the judge shuts them down. What the judge will do with that, I don't know.
Chris, did they come in for a license for 2024?
Tacos?
My waffle.
No, we have not heard from them, and we have not heard from 3 other ones,
So they don't have a current license?
no. And there's 3 other ones also that we're holding on, besides the 2 that were mentioned tonight.
So we shut everybody down? That's vacant the city.
Like ideally, what we want to do is get our taxes paid and have them become in compliance. So how we best do that is strictly up to you. It's up to you,
Well,
payment plan or not. It's pretty
When you
pretty
talked
simple.
about the other one that was in the same boat, and they said they couldn't pay, and then they came and they miraculously paid it. I mean, the cost of doing business is you have to pay your bills and your taxes, and this, the point I keep making is, this is not a tax on them, it's a pass-through tax. They charge it to the people when they eat, and they pass it on to the city. It should have never left that pattern, it should have never been in their hands.
And I'd just suggest that their failure to comply has cost them out of pocket versus through the register. So however you choose. I mean, you make a reference to the IRS. The IRS puts you on a plan.
Very costly one.
I'm assuming so, from what I hear. So maybe hear from the restaurant and then make a call. Yes, no, or?
Last call for
Or other
city
location.
council, anybody? John, Joe? Brianna Alcantar, to the podium, please. Any comments you'd like to make?
Hello, everyone. The reason why, not that we didn't want to be in compliance with the eat-in tax, we were very unfamiliar. I know that it was stated that we had several that several people have told us about it. I had a couple issues. I mean, it is on us. I'm willing to pay the tax even though we didn't pass it on to the customer. At first I wanted to see if I can get it waived because I never charged the customer the 2% that we were supposed to charge. So then I just said, I don't wanna go back and forth. I just wanna move forward. I just wanna have a successful business and not feed into all that. So that's why I said I need to come on a payment plan because it's coming out of my pocket. It's not that I didn't want to comply.
And this is your first business, correct?
Yes.
You know, I still believe in second opportunities and second chance, especially with the new business, but like I said earlier, majority rules. Well, what's your opinion on this?
And I've spoken to you several times, Brianna, both here and on the telephone.
Yes.
But I will tell you that I don't think it's fair to the other 99% of the businesses that have made payment, either at the end or during every month in the city of Crest Hill. I don't think it's fair that all the liquor license holders, and I heard the same excuses, but they all paid. All the tobacco license holders, I heard the same excuses, but they all paid. And those were due on December 31st. And to the clerk's credit, they have many more businesses that they have to deal with. Probably between 150 and 200, Chris, would you say? More than that? And I'm sure that she heard a lot of excuses, and as well as her employees heard a lot of excuses. And again, I know that our building commissioner was in your establishment several times talking to you back in the summer. And maybe not you, but somebody was in there that did not get it to you, but you're the owner, you're responsible.
I understand.
And I just don't think it's fair to everybody else that has abided and complied.
I'm not trying to not comply, and I wasn't trying not to comply. I just wasn't familiar. That's all.
Okay, any other comments you'd like to make?
No.
No? Okay, thank you. To the city council, if you don't have any other questions, I would entertain a motion on behalf of anyone that would like to make it.
I make a motion that we go with what Glenn suggested at the 3-month extension, giving them enough time to pay their arrearage and what is that, $750 fine.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Alderman Jefferson, seconded by Alderman Gazal, for a payment plan for tacos Vorfados. And what was it, throughout 3 months?
Yes.
Full payment within 3 months. Questions or comments of the motion? Roll call, please, Chris.
Tina Oberlin?
No.
Mark Sepiti?
No.
Nate Albert?
No.
Joe Kubal?
Yes.
Scott Dyke?
No.
John Burchett?
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson?
Yes.
Claudia Gazal?
Yes.
Mayor, we need your vote.
Mayor will vote no.
Motion's failed.
And the reason for that is because I do believe it will set precedent. I think the other ones that are on the list will be in here within 2 weeks, and they will want a payment plan also. And I think that we'd be opening up a big precedent going forward for next year and years to come, that people will just want to make payment plans. And unfortunately, we don't have the resources, we don't have the staff to be making all these payment plans going forward. Okay? Next on the agenda, Glenn?
Next item I'd ask to have tabled I think I want to get a little bit more, I think more a discussion for a work session and the final vote on it regarding the meeting we held for public. So if someone would be so inclined, I'd like to have a motion to table
So
until
moved.
next work session.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Albert, seconded by Alderperson Overland to table the discussion on Republic Services. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Joe Kubal,
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
Yes.
John Burchett.
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
The only other thing I'd like to do is ask what we should do in terms of follow-up and follow-through on tacos before vados. Is that a matter if they square up that, or should we make them aware if they square up that payment, they continue on with their license? Are we trying to put them out of business tomorrow until they secure that, those fines? Or what is our, administratively, how do we handle this? Because we have somebody, I think, believing that they're not gonna turn the key tomorrow, and I don't think that's necessarily the case.
You haven't been out on any of these businesses yet, have you, Don? And we're five days into the month.
No, I was waiting to see what, what we were gonna do or what the next step.
I would think that maybe a letter needs to be drafted from the city to the ones that are in the arrears for a payment date. Council?
Are there any liquor establishments that are also
No,
considered places for eating tax that are not paid up?
they all are. They
Okay.
all are places for eating. Well, not the packaged liquor stores and not the social organizations.
I mean, like the video gaming places,
They're all
the
paid.
bistros,
They're all paid.
okay. The further places for
And
eating?
If Crusades reopens, I believe they owe for December and well, they would owe for December. They closed mid-December. And if they open up as a new business, they'll have to start making those payments after the first month they're in business, under a new name. But the liquor licenses are all paid up.
To
Those
my
that have
point,
business
should-
licenses that have not been reissued, you can cite them, because the licenses expire January 31, correct? So if they do not have a license and they're open tomorrow, you can issue citations returnable to March 20th administrative hearings. Obviously, if they come into compliance between now and then, that's an internal issue that is easy to solve. I mean, you can withdraw the ticket in March if they come into compliance. If they don't comply, then after those judgments are entered 35 days thereafter, we can institute enforcement proceedings. But now we're a month after March.
So my
But you can
assumption
keep
would
citing
be,
them, you can keep citing them for each day that they are operating a business without a license. So in March, they could conceivably have 10 tickets. I don't know what the cutoff date would be for getting it on the March calendar.
correct, is that our, I guess the question is, what is our desire? Are we hoping that we get quick compliance, that they say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna call every relative I got or whatever, or talk with my bank, and I wanna get caught up today, and I wanna get in good graces. Is that okay? Or are you looking to have them cited any day that they're open, which I think carries a penalty of up to $750 a day? Are we trying to shut them down or get them into quick compliance? What is our goal, and how do we achieve that? But I think without some contact to the restaurant owner, they have no idea what they're up against, other than, I believe that at this point, they believe that they're not gonna be able to be.
Well, let's not forget that all the people that are on the delinquent list had several visits and several opportunities to make payment. So
I
they
have
did
not
have their
lost,
chance to comply.
I have not lost focus in that, just I've not lost focus in remedial actions for employees, negligence, or anything. People make mistakes, and they make the same ones over and over again with no penalty, or with some penalty, with some result. What is their desire?
We're shutting everybody down, that's what the desire. I mean, as a city, we're we're not even giving them an opportunity, like she said, if even I go to a bank and get a loan, it's not gonna be, they're not gonna give it to me right now. Some people don't have the money, okay? Obviously, some of you must make good money, you don't realize how tough it is for businesses. And I understand we're not gonna set precedent. I understand people have obligation, but this is the first time we do this. And again, I believe in second chance. And right now, we're gonna have businesses that they're gonna shut down because either we keep finding them every day and we keep digging them in the hole more and more. That's what we're doing as a city, you know?
The
Like
vote
this
has
lady
been,
was not given the opportunity to even go apply for a loan because there's no time for a loan, you know? And this is their first visit. You can tell they were naive. I mean, the gentleman sat here and he didn't know what he was doing. Like, I was looking at him like, and look at read the minutes. I made the statement. How you want me to help you when you don't know how to help yourself? You're not helping yourself, you know? And it is tough for us as a city, you know?
votes cast.
Claudia, I'm hoping that maybe if it's allowable, could we make, could I make a motion to extend it that they have to pay before February 29th or some hard date so it doesn't, so they don't shut down?
She asked for that and the mayor told her no. Didn't you said that to her, Mayor? That's what she said. You said you have to bring the money right away.
My vote was no.
No, but when she called you on the phone.
I suggested to her that she either take a loan out, she pay by credit card, and she said she can't.
She doesn't have credit card, and I asked her the same thing. She stated that you told her that, and I said, well, you have, she said, I don't have credit card. And a loan.
The feeling that I got from the work session when her husband was here, that the majority of the council was against the payment.
See, and I'm more comfortable personally with my vote to keep them open, but a hard date of when they have to pay this fine. Not a $750 a day fine, not a payment plan, but they have until the end of this month to pay everything in arrears, but they can stay open.
If the council's wish is to do that, it needs to be on an agenda for a vote. This vote that you want to make, or the motion you want to make, is not on this agenda.
Okay, so so somebody needs to answer Glenn's question of what the next steps are, because if the next steps are what I think they are, then me voting in the negative will request to bring that vote back up for reconsideration.
Thank you.
Because I don't want to see them shut down. I want to see them pay the fines, the fees that are owed to us, but I don't want to see them get shut down, or a $750 fine every day that they're open.
Can I ask a question? Chris, how many times have you sent letters to these businesses when they're in the rear? How long do you wait before your office would send a letter to say, you know, you're 30 days or 60 days or 90 days? What's the procedure policy?
I know letters will be going out probably this week or next week, that they have not, that failure to pay, but I don't believe we have sent them out, that they're coming up. I know the girls have made phone calls to several businesses, but letter-wise, you know, because God knows if it'd get to them in time.
Yes.
I think what you can do right now is, if you wanted to, is get this on the agenda again, but give the direction to, Don to not fine them yet, and let them know that they're gonna be put back on the agenda again. I mean, I guess we could take another visit to them.
But Scott, was your question about how many times have they been informed about the places for eating tax or about the business license? Because I've sent,
How many times have we contacted, you know, these businesses that are in the rears on the places for eating tax?
There was probably 5 letters certified. Chris, Don, and I actually went, and I think we met with the woman at her establishment. We handed her the paperwork, and that was in July. And there's been communication after that. And I think that Don's had different communications with the owner, that she didn't think the tax applied because she didn't think she had the appropriate seating. Wasn't that Don? Didn't she tell you she didn't have tables and chairs, or?
Right.
It's
Said she
beyond
didn't have-
question that they were
Didn't have tables and
contacted.
chairs, but we have pictures from actually the day of the hearing of the first hearing, in December, that day, there was tables and chairs in her restaurant, in the restaurant. And she had told us that she didn't have any, that they don't have any tables or chairs for people to sit down. We have pictures from the day of the hearing, that morning.
It's beyond question. They were approached via mail, in person, multiple points of contact in English and in Spanish. Multiple times they've been made aware. It's without question that they willfully chose not to address the situation. With their eyes wide open, perhaps out of naivety, did not do the right thing. So that's beyond question. I mean, whether we choose to be penal or not is totally up to us. It sounds like, that the choice is, how do we enforce, or what is your desire? To attempt to get them into compliance, or to shut them down, to have them cited daily? I guess I'm just asking that if we're to preserve our revenue and keep this business in business, then that individual has to be contacted, and I think it's only fair that, hey, we don't wanna see you open your doors tomorrow, or we don't mind if you open your doors, but we wanna see, by hook or by crook, this squared by the end of February, or we're gonna be imposing a $750 fine on you. It's no doubt they did wrong. It's what is our action?
Well, how many times do we need to tell them or contact them or let them know, hey, you owe the city money? And we've got My Waffle, who hasn't made any payments, and I'm sure they've been contacted a long time ago, let them know they need to do this. And it's nothing out of their pocket. That money does not come out of their pocket. It comes out of my pocket or anyone else that goes there to eat. It's not out of their pocket. Don't cost them one red penny.
And I don't know if they have that on their receipt, whether they're charging the surcharge at register or not. I know that they weren't at Tacos Before Bathrooms. So again, I'm not saying they didn't totally blow it off. They did. That's obvious.
And to add
They've admitted to such.
And to add to that, Glenn and Lisa, they were issued a citation that said, you're violating this ordinance. They came to court in December, they showed up, the judge continued it, gave them an order saying, I'm continuing this to January 17th, and then they didn't show up on January 17th.
Right, this wasn't mailed and I forgot to open it, or I left it with a stack of bills. It was handed. So they obviously neglected it. Again, that's a truth. We're not debating it. What do we do moving forward?
Correct, and I stated that they made a bad choice, but what do we do at this point? We shut everybody down?
Do you want to send down, do you want Don to write a ticket every day? Do you want him to inform the owner via phone, mail, or in person that, hey, you cannot, if it's your wish, you can operate till the end of February, and we're gonna fine you $750 a day, but you gotta come to compliance by then, or you're done. Whatever you
What
wanna do,
happens
but I
in-
think we should have a clear action plan versus,
Well, what makes you think that if we tell them by the end of February, either you pay up or you're out of business? Do you think that's gonna change anything? They've had all this opportunity to pay less money. Now, all of a sudden, the gun's at their head and they have to pay, this much money. I mean, you think they're gonna come forward and pay it?
I think the gun's at their head. I didn't think they thought that this was gonna be the net result. You had an individual that has signed up for local gov. Did I do it right this time?
You did.
They are signed up for that. They are collecting tax on our behalf as of
They paid 1 month.
yeah. So they are actually in compliance. They're not, they're treating it as though it's a pass-through. They're aware that they owe $2,200 and that their license is in jeopardy. So with the gun in the head, you kind of confess. Do I think they'll comply from this point forward? They come up with a couple grand, I think, yeah, I do. Every time on time? I don't know.
I mean, I think they're a struggling business. They're new, they're trying to get a foothold and customers and, to come and patronize their business. I just have I just go back and look at those pages of all of the businesses that was in arrearage. And some of these businesses knew they had to pay the tax, was collecting the tax and probably putting it in the bank, collecting interest off the tax. And we're here talking about these people. You know, I just have a serious problem with that. And we say we don't want to set precedents, but we sat here over 6 months ago and set a precedent by extending somebody whose benefits had went out. We don't want to set precedents, but we do. We're setting the wrong precedent in my mind with this action. I mean, at some point in time, you have to look in the mirror and see what you're actually here for. Are we here to help this community grow? Are we here to penalize people because they don't dress up their business the way we want it to look? What are we here for?
The vote is cast.
Right.
The question, the
And
question
we're very
remains.
hypocritical with this vote. Very hypocritical.
I respect.
Don't have me go back and call
I
it
always
in.
respect the vote. My only question is, where do we go from here? Are you looking at enforcing it on a daily basis? Are you looking at starting a clock on them? It's all, the vote is done. That's a done deal, unless that could be recalled and that was your desire to. All I'm asking is procedurally, administratively, what are our next steps? What do you wish us to do?
Is there nothing in policy that states what actions are done when a business is operating without a license? And that's what this would be.
They have a license.
We-
They came and paid for
They
it.
paid for
don't
license,
have
they
it
don't,
in hand.
they
No,
don't
I know they
possess
They
one.
paid for it.
They paid for
They
it,
don't
but they
possess
don't have
it.
it in
No, I
hand.
They
know.
don't-
She did send an email.
But was that done so that they could continue until this payment plan issue was discussed tonight?
When we talked to them last week.
So it was contingent on this passing, I would assume.
Yeah, when we talked to them last week, we told them, we suggested to them to come in and get that paid for at least, so there's no extra fines on at least that part. And then we would wait till tonight to see what their decision was on moving forward.
Okay, so were they under the assumption that they would be able to operate through the month since they got their monthly license?
Not the month, just through today.
Okay.
I told them I could not promise what Tuesday will bring.
Handled very, very
Okay.
professionally by the clerk's office, and I must say, we'll accept payment, but we're not gonna physically issue or give you a license. That gave them an opportunity to operate freely up until the decision tonight. Decision's been made. Question is, how do we enforce our?
I'm good with letting them, having them pay by the end of the month. That's my vote.
Well, okay. We can't recall the vote that has been cast. The vote that was cast was on a motion to grant a 3-month payment plan. Nate, if you want to make a motion to give them till the end of the month, you can make that motion, and if you get a second and you get the votes, then that decision can be made tonight, because it's on the agenda.
Then I make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Albert, seconded by Alderman Guzzo.
Can you repeat
And
it,
just to
please?
clarify, they can stay open
Without penalty.
as business as usual, but they have to pay the entire back places for eating tax as well as the $750 administrative fine by the end of this month, the 29th of February.
So we're talking only about tacos Vivanos now.
Correct.
Correct.
You know, if they wait to the end of the day to add all this up, waste a lot of time. They, cash registers now, you just put the whatever the extra tax is, you put that on there, it tells them right there. They got the thing, at the end of the day, when they take a run of the register, it's got a total of all the figures in the register. So it's very simple to keep track of that way. They can't say they don't have it. If it's $50, they just put $50 on the side. They know they gotta pay it already. I mean,
Motion on
it's
the
a
floor,
simple
Mayor.
thing.
Motion
If
on
you
the
try
floor.
to collect
We've
that for a
already
whole year,
Call the vote.
how do you know how many receipts you're gonna get? It's gonna be on there, all the receipts. You don't know. You don't know if they ate it or took it out.
You say, to the second, you agree with that?
With what?
The motion
Yes.
changes.
Yes.
Okay. Payment due by February 29th.
Payment of the entire
Fine.
places for eating tax that's owed plus, and that, does that amount that's been stated include the fines
The
and late fees?
$13.79 does not, so it would be $750 on top of that.
Okay. So that's, it's the.
Can we add right now the total so we'll be on record? So it's 13, here I can put on my phone.
But I have a
email.
calculator. I mean, I
No,
just-
the email that,
What's
Oh,
the,
come on, the
total?
finance director isn't it?
Okay, but my problem is I don't, I think it was 1379 and some change. I don't have that exact total number of what May through November was. So I'm going by memory. I don't know that I
you
want
can
to go on
say,
record.
you
with-
get by with saying approximately $2,100.
well, it's a little over 21.
1379.77 plus 750. Total is $2,129.77,
If that figure's right.
according to Lisa's last email, what they
Okay.
owed,
2,000?
129.
and 77 cents.
Oh, I didn't have the cents, sorry.
Questions or comments on the motion?
Just a comment, Mayor, you broke that tie, but 2 months ago, you broke a policy, you issue a liquor license for someone that wasn't even, they had the same issue, just for the record. You can't pick and choose.
Whatever we decide here tonight, everybody's gonna know it, and how many more people are gonna do what these people have been doing? It's just gonna explode one of these days, you'll get nothing.
John, and I respect that 100%.
You gotta stop it
But
right now.
we
You
also
can't let it get started.
cannot shut down businesses. We're giving them, 3 weeks to pay this fine, 3 weeks, and then that's it. So I think we're adding a little bit of fairness to the situation.
You are gonna hold that license until it's paid.
I was just gonna ask that question.
Yes.
Yes, we will be holding it.
So they have it, but she's in possession. And she should remain in possession.
Well-
Am I correct?
Well, yeah, so
We got
if this,
two votes.
if this vote passes, then you can contact the business owner and say, this is what the vote was after you left. You are able to stay in business and stay open until the end of February, but the business license still remains here, it's not going to be issued
Until it's paid in full.
until it's paid in full.
29.
So we still need a vote.
Roll call.
So what do we do with My Waffle?
What can
They
you-
haven't paid
Again,
anything.
My Waffle's
Are
not,
they still gonna
My
be open?
Waffle is
Not
not
on the
on this
agenda.
agenda.
All right, well, I just wanna make sure that,
Is this gonna bite us down the road sometime?
It's not on the agenda.
I can't tell you that, but I can't never say never.
Whatever you do wrong here tonight's gonna be wrong forever.
Roll call, Chris.
Mark Sepiti,
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Joe Kubal.
Yes.
Scott Dyke,
abstain.
John Rashay,
Yes.
Darrell Jefferson,
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Motion carries. I will talk with Lisa tomorrow, and we'll give them a call and let them know what the second motion was with them.
All right, any questions of the treasurer? Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.
Unfinished business, we have nothing. Anybody? New business, anyone? Committee liaison reports, anybody? City council comments, positive city council comments?
Oh, I have one thing I'd like to ask for, to be placed on the agenda for the next work session to discuss ordinance that addresses gun ranges within the city. Shooting ranges, gun ranges.
I'm sorry, was that a question directed to me?
No, I'm just
Actually-
asking you for it to be on the
Oh, I'm
agenda,
sorry.
discussion.
I was talking to John here and didn't hear who.
A discussion to address gun ranges and restrictions on them in the city.
Mr. Fidi, we met with them today, and we decided to hold on a little bit. We're working on some things with them. Is there a way we can hold on this ordinance? Possible? I mean, you can put out a discussion about,
Who'd you meet with?
the fire department met with Ward 2 today.
Could that be part of the work session? What, your discussion?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I told all of you, I told them as well that we're open book, and we're all about transparency here. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah. It's just, there's a plans that we might do something indoor, so that just give them, to me, by doing ordinance, gonna shut it down totally, and just go in the middle of negotiation. And you know, that was
Well,
my goal to
It
put on the
wouldn't
agenda
be,
tonight.
it wouldn't be an ordinance just addressing this proposed facility, it would be just an ordinance in general to get just some little bit more restrictions, so we don't kind of have the situation we had with this incident again in the future.
Don, we'll have to see if we can get Maura here.
Sorry?
It would probably be beneficial to have Maura Rogoni here for that discussion. Ron or Don?
We can ask her, she's
Yes.
trying to scale back, but we can see if she's available. She and I talked about it, I can be here though, and probably address a lot of those other questions. If she's unable to be.
You want that on the next work session, Mark?
If there's room, if it's possible.
It's pretty full already, I believe, isn't it, Mike? For next week? Second? All right, city council comments? Anybody want to go first? Alderman Dyke?
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to let everyone know, I'll remind you, February 14th, Valentine's Day is coming up, so don't forget your significant other, and happy Valentine's Day.
Alderman Verche?
Nothing this time.
Alderman Jefferson?
Alderman Dykes out the doghouse. I echo those same sentiments. Make sure you take care of your significant other. Valentine's Day is coming up.
You just told us you
And
getting a box of
I
candy.
just want to let all the residents know that, you know, I have some very deep concerns for our city. Thank you.
Alderman Rizal?
I want to announce that March 2nd, we'll be holding another pop-up pantry. Will be from 12 to 2 p.m. here at City Hall parking lot. I know you're not going to be here, Blaine, but I'm hoping to relay the message to Mike tomorrow. And so that will be a collaboration with Aurora Food Pantry, and I look forward to help the people in need in our city. And also, I just want to take a couple minutes here just to, for the existing staff, for the department heads that we still have here. I know you have gone above and beyond to work extra, to handle extra jobs, and we appreciate you. You know, we really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. And I hope you don't leave us anytime soon. Thank you for sticking with us through good and bad. I know some of you are not recognized, but we are here to recognize you and back you up.
Alderperson Overland?
Well, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. And for those of you who don't have a significant other, like me, you can share your love with everybody.
Alderman Spitty?
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Albert?
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Duval?
Nothing else, Mayor.
Public comment? Anyone like to address city council? State your name for the record, address, adoption.
Okay. Linda Dyke. On Saturday evening, about 9:30, there was a disturbance in the middle of Wilcox. Lo and behold, it was the residents again of 1709 Wilcox. I don't know the outcome of it. It was late. I did not take a walk up to the corner. I was called by two neighbors. On Sunday morning, when I was leaving church, I got a phone call from the neighbor behind me. She let me know that her grandson's vehicle and 3 other vehicles were entered by a male and a female who live at 1709 Wilcox. They also entered a car on Oakland Avenue. When I arrived home from church, my neighbor on the corner let me know that he witnessed them going into the vehicles. He told me what they were wearing, knew exactly who they were because they've been in the same clothes for weeks. My neighbor behind me, whose car was entered, I was speaking to him, There was 2 officers out there. So I asked the officer, because the neighbor was very frustrated, are they gonna go over there? No, because we didn't see their faces. I said, well, that's interesting, because when you call Westcom for a call, they ask you, can you identify them? What were they wearing? I don't think there were too many people, a short white girl about 18 years old with a red jacket on, or a black man with a blue coat on. They've been frequent to that house. I think they're staying there. We see them on a daily basis. The police were there for quite some time. A car did leave that yard. One of them was in the vehicle. I said, why don't you go after the car? But we don't know if that's them. This really disturbs me. The neighbors in this area are tired of this. We are sick and tired of, on a daily basis, we can't be in our yards. We have to watch our cars. We can't leave anything in the driveway, in the yard. They're stealing everything. This is a rental property with over 100 police calls. We have a nuisance ordinance. We have rental ordinances. This house has never been inspected. This just irritates me to no end. The yard is so full of garbage. This is disgusting. Ray, I think I'm gonna buy a place in Caroline Lakes, and I'm gonna move them there. I'll bet you this will be cleaned up right away. The neighbor next to them's talking about leaving. The neighbor behind me's talking about leaving. And I'll be honest with you, I'm thinking about leaving. But I'll be damned if I'm going anywhere till I give it a good fight. Somebody's gonna get hurt. I don't know what it's gonna take. Has the landlord been contacted? If you can't get him, give me the paper. I'll go sit outside of his house and I'll serve him. I don't have a problem with that. And I'll tell you how bold these criminals are. He walked past my car as I was sitting out there, and I said to him, you got a lot of nerve going into these people's vehicles. I said, you try my car, I'll put a dog in and it'll bite you. He said, oh, try it. You'll go home and get your dog. You know why they're so confident, Chief? Because our police force is doing nothing to them when they do these acts. They got nothing done to them yesterday. So the guy walks by, oh yeah, you know, Crest Hill, ain't gonna do nothing to us. Something has to be done. We can spend money on this city hall, new toilets, sewers, garage doors. The residents of Wilcox, Kelly, and Oakland Avenue want a light pole with a police camera on it. So not only do the residents identify who they are, what they look like, and what they're wearing, the camera will catch them. Dave has a camera. He monitors it constantly. We shouldn't have to live like this. 16 cameras. 16 cameras. And if you're gonna give residents a discount on all these other things, buy us cameras. Buy these homes cameras. We shouldn't have to live like this. We're paying good taxes in our houses. I'm not done yet. And this garbage in the yard, are they getting daily fines for all this trash out there? There's more trash there than people have in their cans. It's disgusting. Tampons, Kotex, condoms, beer bottles, liquor bottles. You take your grandkids for a walk. You have to put rubber gloves on and start cleaning up the neighborhood. And we have done that. Today Scott did that somewhere. Has the landlord ever been notified yet with these tickets? A letter? Have we ever sent him a letter, Mr. Stiff?
I vetted the letter that Ed sent to the landlord's last known address, it came back, the one in Naperville.
Because he moved to Downers Grove.
My understanding is that after you provided the Downers Grove address, the letter was resent. That was, I believe, 2 weeks ago, according to Ed. Since that didn't come back, I presume it's a good address, so.
The three neighbors right close to there, they're afraid, they're elderly, they're afraid to sit out in their yard. I'm afraid to be outside, on my porch. You get asked about money, you know, telling me that Scott's got some tools for him. He doesn't even know who they are. I just have pictures again of this blinds. As a joke the other day, I turned on my blinds sideways. I said to Scott, we might as well fit right in because they're winning. They're winning. We're keeping up our yard, and look at this. Look at this garage door. Have they been cited for this mess? Mm-hmm. What happens? Nothing, right? They don't show up for a hearing? Nothing, right?
Get another administrative section.
Mm-hmm. Has it been to court? No. 3 years, still not in court. Why do we have ordinances? Because nobody's following through with them. Blaine, I'm glad you have your running shoes on. I wish you the best. Anything you've ever been asked, it's done immediately. Ron, I think it was a slap in your face that you were put second on the list. Chief, I know you're trying to do a good job. It's frustrating. We're frustrated, very frustrated. Lisa, thanks for all you do, and Don and the rest of you. It's just, we've lost our city. I took a ride today past my grandpa's old house on Chase Avenue. Do you know it looked cleaner than this? And we're talking the east side of Joliet. Mayor Darcy, he's got it going. I think we ought to combine. Nothing more to say.
Anybody else?
Roxanne Grzedich, 1621 Wilcox Street. Everything Linda said, I second it. We have been living with this problem for 3 years. We can't go on outside. I go out to my mailbox on my front porch. I look to the right, I look to the left, because they come out of nowhere. They're blatantly breaking the law in broad daylight. On Christmas Day, around 1:30 in the afternoon, I had walked out to my front porch because I was expecting family for Christmas Day dinner. Thought I heard a car. I didn't see a car. There was no car. However, what I did see were those two people that Linda described, the woman and the gentleman, trying the door handles on the cars that were parked across the street from me, the house on Stern and Wilcox. Mr. Munoz lives there. Lifelong resident of Crest Hill, same as Linda, same as my husband and I. We don't feel safe, Chief. We need help. We need help, please, somebody. Because it's gonna take somebody to get killed. And then Linda and I can come back here and say, see, we tried to tell you guys. We can't live like this, Ray. The neighborhood that you left is not the same anymore. And there's so many of us that we don't know what to do. We can't live in fear like this. Same as Linda said, you can't go in your yard. You're looking over your shoulder, and that's all we see. They walk up and down, up and down. 3 years ago, I was a victim, along with my puppy. Their pit bull that is constantly on the loose came up and attacked us and bit my dog. Luckily, my neighbor just came home from work. She pulled up in front of her house. She opened her door. She says, get in, get in, get in, you and your dog. That puppy, that pit bull, was unvaccinated. If that dog had bitten me, I would have been a victim of a dog biting me who had rabies. Nothing's done. Nothing's done. The dog is gone now, I guess. I mean, I know I tried to work with the police department at that time. I found out through another channel that the dog was no longer living at that residence. I was also told by many officers, Crest Hill, don't walk on the street. Don't walk your dog on the street. Go up to Home Depot. Go up to the mall. Anywhere but this neighborhood. Ray, it's my street. I've lived there since 1976. It's my street, Ray. Can you do something to help us, please? Anybody?
I'll
Please.
say to you, Roxanne, to Linda many times, I understand your frustration. It's not because of lack of effort.
I know.
I know the police department, there are undercover situations out there many times. He's been working diligently, trying to get a hold of the landlord, trying to get cooperation.
But it's taking too long, Ray.
As far as our building department, Don has issued many citations.
But
for
they're
that
not
problem.
paid. Am I correct?
In regards to our attorney, he's been working diligently on it. We have to follow the rules and regulations also.
Well, so
And
should
sometimes
these
it's
people
not-
that are
Sometimes it's not fair.
breaking the law.
I understand.
And then we have to live like in our locked homes, checking, out the windows. Thank God we have that security system that we do. And there have been numerous times the officers have knocked on our front door. Dave, can we see your tape? Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I know they're out there. And I know they're in undercover situations also. And I know they're monitoring things.
But the house at 1709, isn't that red tagged?
It was red tagged because they didn't pay, their water was shut off.
It was tagged the day, because they didn't have any water, and we tagged it, and that afternoon, the bill was paid.
So the house is habitable, except for the junk all over.
Take the stickers back off, but
Yeah, except for the
And
junk.
we don't have the right to go in.
No, I know that, but this junk is outside. I mean, it's gotta be, there's,
we write the administrative tickets and send it to the owner, and then they come to, he doesn't come to court. But that's, as far as the building department, that's what we can do, is to write the administrative.
but if they don't pay the 700.
Mike, isn't there a point where we can go somewhere else with this?
If there have been fines issued, 35 days have passed, we can go to court to enforce those judgments. That's why I've asked, is there anything that's
There is
past
nothing
35 days?
Because what, some of the citations like that we wrote last month, they take care of it, and he takes care of it. And then you write it again, and they'll take care of it, but they are on the docket for this month. That owner is on the docket for the next administrative hearing.
Does he come to those hearings?
Who takes care of it, Don? You said he takes care of it. Who takes care of it?
No, it gets done, because when we write a hang tag and we put it on, we give so many days to comply. We go back and investigate that or check it and.
And comply.
Okay, like but in some instances, like this past month, we wrote administrative tickets and sent them, so they are due in court this month, or February 22.
It was mentioned about as a rental unit, all rental units in the city are required to have inspections. Is it yearly? And then based on how that inspection goes, it could be more frequently to see if they're complying, if the inside of the unit is inhabitable. Did I hear that they've never had a rental inspection? How was that, I know that there was a system put in place about how those inspections are supposed to be done. It's in our policy somewhere. And who's,
We have not done a rental inspection.
on them or anyone?
No, on that unit.
Okay.
But us as they,
When someone moves out, the next
schedule it, you know, with the owner to go in. That's not the way that, because we don't have the manpower to inspect every rental unit in the city, you know.
But in this particular case, can't we, I mean, why can't we do it? I'm just saying, if there's something you can hang your hat on internally, if you go in there and the stove's not working, or whatever you can find, to move this along, because I understand what they're suffering. This is,
There's also, and then per that, so, and I can speak with, or Mike can speak with that, with the ordinance as far as, if we find deficiencies, we write that up, they have so many days to comply, and then they have to come to a hearing before we can do any type of, I mean, per our ordinance, the way you read it, that they have to have a hearing before you can get them out.
When you say get them out, you mean?
Well, so the way the ordinance is written, and I don't have it in front of me, I don't have them all memorized, but this one is, it's, in one instance, it says that the building commissioner has authority to remove someone from a property that we deem unfit for occupancy. But then in the next paragraph down from it, it says that they have to have a hearing for that process.
And that's fine if that's what we need to do, but I think we need to do all that we can to help these residents where this is clearly a problem. It's not suspected to be a problem. They're a part of this terrible situation on a daily basis, and they have video of it, and they watch what goes on, and they have firsthand experience with it. So I think we need to do all we can as a city to help these folks out on this particular property especially. And I don't think we're doing it.
I just want y'all to think how you would feel if this was you, and this was your home. And I know how much these people have invested in their homes over the years, and how well they've taken care of them, and kept them up and enhanced them. And how would you feel if that was your house and you're afraid to even go out in your yard? Something that you've worked your whole life to maintain and to take care of, and the criminals are running the show. How would you feel?
Yeah.
I don't think any of you would like that. And for it to go on this many years, I mean, we sit up here and we talk about how we want to give a second chance to a business and all that, but our residents, we don't want to give them quality of life. This just boggles me that we have not been able to hang our hat on something with all these calls. What did you say, 100 calls?
There were 100 police calls just
There's
to that,
got to
just to
be.
that residence.
There's got to be something in our ordinances that we can do on this. There has to be. And if there isn't, then maybe we need to make something. Because nobody should have to
Just for
live like this.
clarification, you made a statement, and I've taken it out personal, that you said, we're sitting here helping businesses. They're two different entities. We're not saying here, don't help them. I've talked to you, and I've told you how I feel, so I take this in offense that you just made this comment. Well, you just made the
I mean,
comment that.
well,
we're
yeah,
here.
because we have to help everybody is what I'm saying.
Exactly,
I'm not
but
saying,
it's different, two different animals here. We're talking about two different things, and all of a sudden now we, you know.
Ron, is that a Section 8 house?
I'm sorry?
Is that a Section 8 house?
We believe so. And if it is, they're not supposed to be able to live there, according to Section 8 HUD rules.
And I know the
You're
police
not
chief has
supposed to
made
cause
many phone
disturbance in the
calls.
neighborhood.
The chief has made many phone calls to that organization.
And they're
Correct,
not.
Chief?
To the, yeah,
What was the last time that you made that phone
Department
call?
Housing and Urban Development, I spoke with them, gosh, a couple years ago now. I have sent them reports. They were going to petition to revoke, it's vouchers, it's not Section 8 anymore. However, she's getting the rent to still live there. I don't know.
Oh.
Chief, why we're not having more supervision, like more cars, not undercover, just covered cars, police cars, that
Yeah.
just sit there and rotate for a little while, just like the way we do in my area when we have an issue and we have cars and constantly have them rotate.
I'm thinking about that and a couple other options as well, as far as some directed patrol. I can share it with you later, and I can talk with them as well.
See, we live it.
We do have coverage. I see it all the time with one of my cameras.
Yeah.
But if nothing is happening, I mean, are they just sitting there not doing anything?
It's just at nighttime, when we have our problems.
Well,
No,
you
not,
just stated
not
earlier
always,
that it's on
not
daytime.
always. It's, they're just so, they're so bold. They don't care. They walk up and down the street, you know, and then look at you, and I'm like, oh my God, in the house I go. You know what I'm saying? It's getting worse. I know it's taken 3 years for me to get to this point right here tonight with everybody, but it's getting worse. They're just blatant, committing crime in broad daylight. And what do we do?
Well,
Is there any
We
way
need
that
help.
you can send a letter or contact the housing authority? I mean, the chief has maybe a letter from you.
My suggestion is, that the solution here is to get to the landlord. Now, he's apparently not responding to emails, he's not picking up the phone. The new address that we have, the letter went to Downers Grove 2 weeks ago, did not come back, so I'm presuming that that's a good address. I will do a skip trace on him with the council's permission, make sure that I have the right address for him. I think the key to this is to figure out a way to get him in front of a guy that wears a black robe and sits up on a bench. That's the surefire way. He can not show for that, but then he's gonna get defaulted. If we can get him in front of a tribunal, and again, I don't know what kind of counts we can put into a complaint, I'll put the kitchen sink in if I can. Once that landlord has to start spending money on legal fees, he's gonna wake up and either get rid of the house, which apparently the one conversation the chief had with him fairly recently, I don't know, chief, when that was, when he did pick up the phone, he said, look, it's too much hassle for me, I'm gonna sell the house. Well, we see where that's at. So, I mean, the key is to get him in front of a judge. None of these self-help remedies work. I mean, we can write ordinance after ordinance after ordinance, and they can keep thumbing their nose at us until you get him in front of somebody that wears a black robe that can actually do something to him. Sounds like the criminal charges don't work because these people just make bond and they're out and back on the streets. Because, again, they're not committing murder, which, again, we don't want them to, but until you get them on something that they're gonna have to post bond and end up having to, see a judge, for a serious crime. I mean, all of this is just, it's a revolving door. The key to this is to get to the landlord. And with your permission, we'll start sitting down and I'll figure out a way to get a lawsuit in front of, or served on him and get him into court. Because that's, to me, as an attorney, that's the only surefire way, because he's got to answer to a
I don't think you'd have
judge.
any objection to start that process.
And their cars are in the yard. I'm surprised, I put a sign in his yard, a big sign with pictures on it of this rat hole, and I put on there, I am the owner of this drug house, and it's in his front yard. Let all his neighbors know what he's all about.
A lot of our other neighbors that Linda and I are in contact with over the years, they're afraid to stand here because they're afraid of repercussion. It took a lot for me to get here tonight to talk about this. I thought of that also. Am I putting myself in danger? My home, my husband, whatever, our vehicles. But you know what? I'm taking the chance. Would you guys please take the chance for us? Please,
Thank you.
please, thank you.
Does anybody on the council have an objection to having the city attorney start the proceedings
No.
as he described?
No.
with the lawsuit?
And I got a question. Did I hear correctly that this is a Section 8 unit?
Yes.
That is correct? Because with Section 8, we have to undergo inspections where a person physically comes out and inspect those premises. I just received my email, and then you have to go on the portal and schedule it and everything. So, I mean, that's mandatory with Section 8. So, I mean, that's something we could look into as well, because Section 8 will violate that voucher. They will violate that voucher. So, he's an absentee landlord just collecting a check every month.
Oh, he
Yeah.
goes there, I think he's part of the problem.
Yeah, so, I mean, if need be, you know, we can contact Section 8 and I can show you how to ask for an inspection on that property.
I think you need to do everything you can, Mike. Everything in your arsenal.
Anybody else? Sir, name for the record, address is optional.
Andre Antonon. I just wanted to say, after witnessing here tonight, that Councilman Jefferson, your leadership is excellent. That's all I really wanted to say. Thank you.
Anybody else? Last call.
Mackenzie Reinhardt, I live in the 1700 block of Rainer. The issue with the same thing with Wilcox, but I think we have a bigger issue. There's two other drug houses. Once that one goes away, there's another one, 1815 Wilcox. That's where they go. If they're not there during the day, they're at that one. Then what? That's gonna be the same problem we're gonna have with the 1809 house. But guess what? There's one on Prairie. I don't know the exact address. I have it written down somewhere. And then we got one in Inner Circle. They're all the same people. So what is it gonna take to get them all shut down? Because it's gonna be the same, from Kelly. You guys got the Kelly house done. Everything's fine now, but guess what? Now it's the Wilcox house. It's gonna be the other Wilcox house after that. We need to shut them down before it just keeps getting worse and someone gets hurt. That's what I think. Yesterday, I came home from work. My grandma is almost 80 years old, and there's a hooker walking down my street. Doesn't know where she's at, looking everywhere. I thought she was trying car doors. We freaked out and got in the car. Guess where she went? 1815 Wilcox. And then from there, somebody picked her up. I watched. Guess where they went? To the Inner Circle house, where the other drug house is. And they dropped her off there.
Do we know who the owners of the other homes are?
I believe the Inner Circle house is owned by somebody. I forgot his name. Do you know his name, Linda? They lived there for a while, but the other house.
Mike Cotton is the owner of Prairie House.
Yes.
And some real estate company owns 1850. I have called every one of those people. I'm not afraid to call. My son's a cop, he keeps telling me, Mom, you're gonna get shot. I said, you know what, then I'll be dying trying, because somebody's gotta step up and take care of this. And I watched it long enough, and I'll do the same thing in my house as I do down at the church. If you let them know they're afraid of you, they're gonna come after you. If you let them know that you're not afraid of them, because I told that guy yesterday, and I'll say it again, he started coming towards my car. I said, you get in front of me, I'm gonna run you over, and I'm warning you. I got the car in drive, so you come near me, you're gonna get labeled. And maybe that's what it's gonna take. A couple of them, run them down. And then maybe they'll realize these people are serious.
Can, John, I was talking, would like to, like, on Wednesday, possible, we can go there and you guys can show us?
House.
Why don't you guys go on a tour of the city and we'll show you everything?
I mean, we would like to go, just talk, we would like to see what our own.
5 o'clock at night is when a delivery comes. It's car after car after car.
More like a Friday night.
And I told the officer, I said, check the plates. He said, oh, I run the plate. I said, they don't have front plates. Those front plates are the other cars. I said, they change license plates like I change my underwear. A plate on this car, you take it off, you put it on that car. Tomorrow you'll see that plate on a different car. Don't we, Mackenzie? We run the plates ourselves. We look at them. Oh, look at that. That van had this plate yesterday. Now it's on that white car today.
That only got dealer plates.
And they screw with the cops, because if the cops, there was something going on down at Rock Run. I had my scanner going. I took a ride. I found that Charger at 1815 Wilcox with a different license plate. It had a different plate that it had 20 minutes before at a shooting. I should go, I'm too old for the police academy, boy, I like it.
I think the police department can use some help, you wanna hire him?
All right, Is there a need for an executive session, Mike?
I don't believe so.
Yes, I would like to go for 2C1.
Thanks.
Thank you. We'll be very quickly.
There's a motion for 2C1 personnel.
You make the motion?
I made a motion.
Second.
Motion by Alderwoman Gazal, seconded by Alderperson Oberlin for an executive session for 2C1. Roll call.
Nate Alberts,
Yes.
Joe Kubal. Yes. Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John McKay. Yes. Darrell Jefferson.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Mark Sepiti.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
All right, we'll be going into executive session at 9:21 PM.